to just try being out Aaliyah Ray, which was how I was performing before, just under my name. The more shows we played, we realized, you know, people think you're a solo artist, they don't think you're a three-piece. And it took us a year and a half to find a name. We were actually just in the studio recording our album. Jared was looking at words with OU in them.
So let's kind of look at that list of words, you know. Douse was kind of what we looked at that word and kind of like, all right, like it kind of looks good, it kind of sounds good. I think the only artist that used it was this like 1995 Russian electronic artist.
Hi, we're Douse and you're watching Band in Seattle.
Tonight on Band in Seattle, we've got our first Canadian artist who came down from British Columbia. You'll love the genre-bending art rock from Douse. Band in Seattle. Uncover the music that moves you.
I'm the front person of the band Douse.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah, and I'm the drummer for the band Douse.
Hi, my name is Patrick, and I'm the lead guitarist of the band Douse.
Hello, I'm Victoria. I'm the bass player for Douse from Vancouver, Canada.
Hold on to each other from outskirts. We won't love one another, we're not capable of it. We hold on to each other from outskirts. We won't love one another, we're not capable of it.
The Importance of Each Other was the only song we have a music video for right now. It kind of came from, for me, lyrically, from a place of being just in a very intensive period with someone where we were trying to really navigate like what is our relationship to each other and like what makes the most sense and like how can we not hurt each other, and that was just kind of what the whole song was about. It's just feeling like everything is just so desperate and hopeless and why are we doing this, but also we want to do this.
The Importance of Each Other was a very difficult song to write. Many iterations were had. Eventually it came together and it made sense. Everything meshed. It felt in perfect harmony.
But I was too ambitious. I tired expectations. What were all the seconds worth? Each other with our mouths cut up. We won't love one another, we're not capable of it. We hold on to each other with our mouths cut up. We won't love one another, we're not capable of it.
So Patrick and I were in different bands in high school, and we went to the same high school. Eventually, after high school, I was like, you know, this is probably one of the most capable, gifted people in our school. I don't know, his understanding of creating music is beyond even what I still like see in other people. Like, I don't know how he does it. After high school, it felt like, I think we could really work together. I think we could really benefit. So he helped me kind of work on some of my solo stuff.
We did this one show together where I was backing Jeremiah for his solo project. It was him actually as the front man instead of the drummer. Aaliyah was playing violin with this other band. If I remember correctly, the first words spoken to each other was Aaliyah saying to me, "Hey, what DI do I use?" So we kind of met each other through that. From that point, they were looking for backing musicians. Jer messaged me about it. He was like, "Hey, do you want to play bass for this person, Aaliyah, if you remember?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." I always wanted to play bass in a band. Then they saw me play with this other band I played in, Alleyway Saints, which was kind of like a weird progressive pop punk thing. And they were like, "Oh, I'd rather have him on guitar, I guess." So I'm like, all right, I'll play guitar.
They were just going to be session players, but then as we grew, like within like 6 months, we were like, oh, we kind of function as well as a band, so like let's just call it a three-piece. I always thought I would be like a solo artist and I would just bring on people because I like having that control. But yeah, it just kind of happened naturally. And as we, decided it was a collaborative, so it changed from being very folk singer-songwriter to this kind of like really weird, like indie, alternative, progressive stuff. So yeah, it was just a very natural progression.
Should I voice all of my concerns? There's no peace when you are honest. I wake up and I'm in a state I can't be in. Take me back outside.
So Patrick writes the bass parts, and then Victoria's playing them because she joined post-album. She's very adaptive, especially because the parts are very weird. Like it's like Patrick writes bass like a third guitar, so she's been very good about like adapting to that and like just taking what's thrown at her.
Well, actually, Aaliyah and I, we were both volunteering at Girls Rock Camp in Vancouver. We were just chatting one day, and I was explaining to them like how I was a bass player, and I wasn't in a band at the time. I'd been playing in a few bands in Vancouver, but been going for a bit of a dry spell. They just said, well, I'm in a band, we just recorded an album, like we need a bass player for shows, like do you want to come play bass for us? And I was like, yeah, absolutely.
After the break, you'll find out a lot more about Douse.
Patrick loves King Crimson, like that's why all our stuff is so weird.
Don't be so cruel to me. I have found the worst of you in me. So much of our temperament, the roughest weather we've ever seen.
Worsening, it's probably the oldest song that we still play. It was the first song I think I wrote in 7, and it goes between 7 and 4 a lot, just even in the verse alone. I just remember Jared being like, why is this happening? Because he was trying to write drum parts and he was just like, okay, but this part I count differently, and like why, it's only been like 10 seconds.
Don't be so cruel to me.
The last record was more about kind of like dissonance within relationships and feeling like there's like power struggles, like interpersonal things. And then this next record is going to be more so about, I think, broader issues. Because I feel like there's a lot of very troublesome things that people are doing and have a way of looking at the world and, can walk away from certain problems that are happening. And I think that's not fair and it needs to be addressed. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to think about more and talk about. I feel like I'm still a very privileged person, even though I'm not male, I'm still white and like all these things. And I think I struggle with like, well, why should I keep having something to say, right? Because I want my lyrics to be meaningful and I want it to be about something important. I don't want it to just be fluff.
much Aaliyah wants to like grow, you know, as a musician, and like how much I want to grow as well. Like the interesting part of the dynamic is that like we come from very different musical backgrounds, but we both have things to learn from each other. I learned a lot about, you know, like different approaches to music from, you know, working with Aaliyah.
It's been a big curve, I think, learning how all of us work together. Aaliyah was creating music that I didn't understand, and I think that was what was engaging for me. I think that one of the biggest things I really appreciate about Aaliyah is that they aren't trying to be anyone else.
I was born into a musician family. My dad, he's a music teacher at a lot of high schools and universities. My mom, she is a violinist. She teaches violin from home and also plays in the Vancouver Opera. And it sparked a thing in me that was like, this is what I want to do. I want to, I want to play interesting music. I want to perform, I want that sort of egotistical adulation in a way.
Patrick, he has like a very like strict kind of classical upbringing with that stuff. Yeah, he's got like a lot of theory and a lot of like different genres that he's interested in and loves King Crimson. Like that's why all our stuff is so weird.
All right, Patrick is, he is, again, incredibly inventive, very, very highly skilled guitar player. Always trying to push things. He's like really a thinker when it comes to music. And that's really interesting to work with because I study music and I do have that background, but it's not something that I've like, I get to a certain point with it and then I'm like, okay, I don't want to know anymore. Like I'm like done with that. But Patrick's he's really into it.
I have not seen the light wings. That is what I've fallen off on my knees. I'm not helpless, I will bring my own peace.
Growing up around like grade 3 and 4, I was really obsessed with just the idea of playing guitar, and I never really pursued it until like grade 9 or something like that. I wasn't very good at it, I'm still not very good at it, and I had a particular friend who would play his dad's vinyl, and we would play Rock Band in his basement, and it was like his birthday party or something, and I was just like, I kind of want to try the drums on that. And no one was around, I just like went downstairs and just did it, and it was weird. I gravitated towards it.
He's been really helpful with the band and he's been very supportive of me and just us as a collective. He handles like all our social media and like him and I do all the back end work together.
One of my bands back in high school, we were auditioning for drummers, and it was Halloween at the school. So he kind of comes into jamming dressed in a beaker costume. And because of the world I come from was kind of, like fast punk music, the world he came from was kind of like classic rock type drumming, So I was trying to play this, trying to like, let's play this kind of like faster, man, faster. And then he was kind of just doing these like, halftime drum beats.
Is this how you cherish me? Carve up verses emerge from the silent pain. With no purpose, collapse in front of your dream. I'm no pleaser, I'll show you what I've got. Oh. Choose to remain. From my life into heaven.
When we return, uncover more about Douse.
I'm more directed as it burns.
The Vancouver scene, now that I've been down into the States more, I can see how much smaller the Vancouver scene seems compared to Seattle. Like Seattle, there's just so much stuff happening because there's so many more people leave. There's a lot of DIY spaces now. Small places or like medium-sized rooms, but there's just a lot of pushback from companies in the city and developers to kind of push out art spaces. It just makes it challenging for people who are making art.
A number of years ago, there was this radio station had a competition that was, you know, everyone every year looked forward to because that's always where you'd see kind of like a lot of the new upcoming bands. Right now, since that's no longer a thing, it sort of feels like you're getting a lot more interesting artistic music. However, it doesn't feel like there's as much as a scene really because everyone's so scattered with what they're doing. One of the best pieces of advice I heard is if you want to be a big Vancouver band, move to Toronto because Vancouver doesn't really support itself much, so you kind of have to move elsewhere in order for people to take notice, you know.
Just another reason to give up. It's just another way we don't come across. I'll never have to be. I'm never gonna need to be someone. Do you think we'll rest on your shoulder when the need to escape is so tremendous?
I'm in this project because I'm really exhausted by a lot of the music that's happening, but I just want to create something that is thought-provoking. I don't know if it's just where I'm from, but there's a lot of oversaturation of a certain genre every once in a while, and I just want to break through that a little bit and just get things moving in a different direction sometimes. I think just having music that is coming from all directions is a big motivator for me.
I'm not shutting down 'cause I want to. I am paralyzed and in shock. I don't need a reason to tell you no. Stop cutting out of the inside.
I would love to be able to stay playing for Douse. They've already grown so much in the time that I've played with them. I really believe in what they're doing. I really think their music's incredible. I learn a lot by playing with them. The thing I really want us to do is go to Europe and go to the UK. And I know they do too, so I know I'm not just like throwing a spanner in the works here. I'd love to be able to go and play shows there so that everyone I know back home can see what I've been doing over the last couple of years.
I am more directed than any ray of light I've ever seen. I am not here to help some oblivious man. Evil, it's not all there is. It's not all I am to you. How shallow. Don't invite me to your house so you can stare at me. How horrible.
I'm more directed. This is probably my favourite Douse song in general. I was going through a little bit of a time when I first met this lot and listened to that music, and this song is so angry, but so smart.
So I'm More Directed is a song that Jer hates doing, as I'm sure you've heard.
I would be okay if we didn't play on More Directed live anymore. It is probably the most intense because it's in a genre that I'm not naturally accustomed to. Especially at the end of the set, I'm More Directed is, it burns.
That one is about my experience growing up female and just kind of what that was like for me, and just the experiences I had with men and how they made me feel very helpless and powerless and that kind of stuff. The anger that comes out of that, and like how it's so hard to work through and you feel like you're just always angry. Yeah, that's a very good cathartic song to play live.
I shouldn't have to be so
Connecting with people feels so amazing, and like when people come up to you and they're like, oh, I share your experience, you're like, oh, that means a lot to me, you know, and like what I'm saying matters to you. That's really, you know, important and powerful, I think. So for me, it's like I want to be a voice that is useful in the world, you know, because I feel like if you're going to be up there and demanding people's attention, why wouldn't you use that opportunity for something good?
To uncover more of the music that moved you tonight, go to bandinseattle.com where you can find out more about Douse and watch their full concert.